So I have a lot to say about Sean Penn. Well, let's just talk about Into the Wild. That's his work. Sean Penn himself will make a movie. He's iconic, is just as much as Marlon Brando. He married Madonna. At their wedding, the rumor is he took out a gun and started shooting at helicopters. He's an iconic figure. He worked with Woody Allen. He's one of our greatest actors, and he decided to make a movie called Into the Wild. Now, it's not his first. Indian Runner's a masterpiece. You know, Crossing Guard's a masterpiece. The Pledge is brilliant with Jack Nicholson. Jack Nicholson tackling two hard roles in The Crossing Guard and The Pledge. But he went with younger actors in Into the Wild and the Younger Generation, which is a movie about Generation X. And John Bunyan, you could say, you know, Pilgrim's Progress. His name's Christopher McCandless. And he's on this adventure, and he changes his name to Alexander Supertramp and faces this harsh world, burns his, I don't know, his license, his information. He does these crazy things, possibly because of child abuse. You know, he witnessed his father maybe even hurt his mother in front of him. He witnessed these things. And Sean Penn chose to bring a humanity to the face of film. And I'm really impressed with Into the Wild. Now listen, I know it's a new movie. It takes time for a movie to resonate. But it hits on many levels about a person's psychology and what they would do in the wild to survive. And what McCandless really had to do. There is Fort Worth, Trinity River, and we do have go-karts today. It's Rockwood go-karts. So come to Fort Worth and go on Rockwood go-karts. Cars. Fort Worth, Rockwood, and mini golf. That is mini golf. But McCandless had an imagination. He had his reasons on why he went out to Alaska. He hit all these other spots, very similar to Treadwell. Build your own funnel cakes right here. Very similar to Treadwell. Treadwell focused on bears, grizzly bears, and was eaten. He was eaten alive by grizzly bears, so was his partner. While McCandless focused on isolation and loneliness. Now, if you read John Bunyan's Pilgrim's Progress, and I have the right to cross-reference. It's a nice motorcycle. I have a right to cross-reference, or if they're going to be so kind. Oh, I love all the cameras. You can cross-reference to John Bunyan because there is a character in John Bunyan named Faithful. If you've read Pilgrim's Progress, John Bunyan is great. It's an allegory. It's written in almost like Shakespearean prose, some poetry. Well, it's mostly poetry, almost like a poem. This is when poems became novels. Back in probably published in the 1670s. He was probably writing it in the 1660s. He was jailed for breaking a conventional act by the English church. It was the Church of England. He wasn't allowed to talk to 5 people at the same time about Jesus Christ, or you could go to jail. They also call it the 5-mile rule. It was as if you were breaking the laws of Church of England. So Bunyan went to jail and he decided to write Pilgrim's Progress in jail. They told him he could leave jail to see his family because the plague had hit. This is roughly when it was published, it was 1670s, circa 1670s. He did not leave the jail. Maybe he did a couple times, but he mostly used it like an office to write Pilgrim's Progress. And there's a character he wrote called Faithful. Faithful is executed in the town of Vanity because of his faith. He stands before the courts. He pleads his theology on Jesus Christ, and they execute him. Christian walks by it. Follow me? Later, Christian finds Hopeful, and with Hopeful, who's a friend of him, he goes through the river of death. He has to pass through all these other cities. He even tackles Apollyon, which represents the devil. Faithful is executed. Into the Wild is an execution of faith. It's the execution of faith. It's a dual. I'm using duality when I'm speaking, right? The Christian's life is duality. We already know we're in heaven. We already know we've conquered death. We already know, right? We already know there's no fear. Why was Faithful executed in John Bunyan's Pilgrim's Progress? Or John Bunyan's Pilgrim's Progress? Why was he executed? He faced the court, but Christian walked by it. Christian was carried by it, meaning he just walked by it. He went through the town of Vanity and walked by it. Almost protected in a bubble like Allegro in Dante's Inferno, where nothing could harm him. So Faithful had to die. Now Peter was told by Christ, you will deny me 3 times, right? And he was told by Christ that that would happen. And Peter was executed by the Roman government, but chose to be crucified upside down in an act of faithfulness, right? Honoring the Lord, okay? Now, I know I'm getting all, and this is all about hippies and all this stuff, but, you know, I don't like when the church talks bad about the hippies. And, like, I went, when I did the dramatic Christian drama, the Christian drama, doing Pilgrim's Progress, and I played Christian, I also played Apollyon, or they call him Apollyon. I had heard some of them say, listen, you know, Jesus Christ is not no hippie song, right? Jesus Christ is not this, you know, gather around people now, smile on your brother, everybody get together. You know, I kind of disagree a little bit. The act of the hippie was not to throw rocks. It was ultimately love and peace. Now the hippies are in Into the Wild. Sean Penn's kind of a hippie. He's kind of every man in a way. But he's played a lot of criminals, and his brother, Chris Penn, if I'm not mistaken, I think there may be a cross on his grave, okay? But I don't speak for anybody's heart, and neither does a man. Only God knows your heart, right? So I can't judge someone's theology. I cannot judge someone's belief. But I can say Into the Wild has Christian concepts in there, but nobody has to go off to Bus 142. Guys, nobody has to do that. People have done it. They've vlogged it. And some people have not come back. There's other Christopher McCandlesses out there that try to get to Bus 142. They go through the town of Vanity. They face the courts. The courts was nature. The courts were the flower that he chose wrongly. They judged wrongly because nature, listen, you can always run from a lunatic. You cannot run from the snow. I left Maine after 17 months. You cannot run from the snow. You can beg, but that court does not let up. Not the snow, right? But you can run from a lunatic. Now, you got to watch Into the Wild. It's a 2007 film. I wanted to speak some poetry. I wanted to be poetic about this review. I wanted to talk about John Bunyan's Pilgrim's Progress, which is an adventure story. I wanted to talk about the wonderful life of Christopher McCandless and how he was abused as a child. He went off and changed his identity to Alexander Supertramp and became this new thing, and then faced the court of nature, which did not, it showed him no mercy. The court of nature shows you no mercy. You choose the wrong vine to eat, then you die, right? That's what happened to him. He got mixed up. It has no mercy. Nature has no mercy. There is love in nature, but it has no mercy. It's the execution of faith. All right. Go see it. It's a good movie. Thank you, Sean Penn. Now, there's been probably some backlash to Into the Wild because some people have gone back to the Bus of 142. A couple ladies in nature, you know, traveling across this horrible river had lost their lives. John Krakauer, who's a novelist, wrote Into the Wild. He also wrote about his adventures in Mount Everest. And I think John Krakauer was traumatized when 8 of his climbing buddies, they all died in the Mount Everest. He ended up writing Into the Wild about Christopher McCandless, and it became a powerful book for our generation. And this is Krakauer's book. I think I'm pronouncing his name close enough. It's John Krakauer. Forgive me if I'm wrong. So Penn is not to blame for a dangerous vlog spot. After all, hey man, some of these theme parks are even dangerous vlog spots. But it is 142. Bus 142 is in Alaska, just like Salvation Mountain is in California, and it, you know, these places, especially the Alaskan 142 bus is way out there. We're gonna have to find out where it's at and stuff. I may have to read John Krakauer's book before I just start talking out of the side of my mouth, but it's not like the most safest place in the world. I mean, Jack London will tell you that Alaska's dangerous. They even have some prohibition. It's dangerous. It's not an easy place to live. Neither is Maine. I lived in Maine for a while. But yeah, see Into the Wild. I can go on and on and on, try to make some kind of point. One reason, just for the cinematography, there's a really cool moment where he does some still photos, very quick still photos. Almost looks like digital at times. When Alexander Supertramp has to go to Los Angeles to check into a shelter, and then he's like kind of walking the sidewalks, he changes the exposure. Sean Penn also changes the film quality whenever he goes back in time to see the flashbacks of his dad and his mom fighting and things like that. It's very grainy, and then the film goes back to regular. I think of Brian De Palma whenever I'm watching Into the Wild. I'm like, okay, it's Brian De Palma film. Nope, Sean Penn. He's trying to tell the whole book. He went in chapters. Listen, Sean Penn in the documentary cried. It broke him. The film, he finally just, he cried. The camera couldn't hide it. This film broke him. It literally psychologically broke Sean Penn. He had to recover. I heard what happened with Sean Penn. I just want to talk about him. He moved into this like little tiny place, I guess, to recover from this film. It was probably from Into the Wild. And he just got away from everything. But man, guys, it's a generation film. I haven't met anyone that has not this. I mean, I haven't met anyone that's said anything bad about it. I mean, it's beautiful. It's great. It's not Jean-Luc Godard, and it's not Bergman, but it's an American film. And I'm sure some of the French people are like, oh, Sean Penn, croissant, what is this? You do nothing, Hitchcock and Sean Penn, you know. Look at this, right? Little Feed Library. I like Indian Runner better, though. Look at that. You can get a book there. You can get a book there. I'll get a book later. No, but Sean Penn's the guy that, you know, he met Richard Ramirez in a jail cell, but he was like in the next jail. Anyway, like Dennis Hopper's like, hey, I'm gonna have you play a cop, man. You can't land on the moon with a fraction. Probably over there. Told the lady, I was like, yeah, this is when it's unbearable heat. It's like 100 degrees outside Texas. She goes, oh, we got a pool. I said, oh, yeah, you can camp out at the pool. So can I. We can camp out by the pool. Oh, look, the pizza guy's on the pool. He's in the pool. Look. She was laughing, kind of. I was joking. Oh, wow. It cooled down to 98. All right, we're okay now. Oh, man, I thought it was 100. 98 degrees, okay. Yeah, I just kind of told myself, you know, chill out on the Sean Penn, Into the Wild. Don't go too much on it. You want to walk through it, and then you want to watch it. You know, you want to watch the whole thing. I'm in the middle of it. I'm in an hour and 35 minutes, but I've seen it before. Matter of fact, I plan to own all Sean Penn's movies, especially Into the Wild. So the two that I focused on my list is Indian Runner, a must-see, okay, with iconic actors that if you're an actor and you haven't seen Indian Runner, I would just kind of I bow my head and just go, whatever, man. But let me tell you this, see Indian Runner, also see Into the Wild, and then just go ahead and watch all Sean Penn movies. And then, you know what? Matter of fact, watch all Sean Penn's stuff that he acted in too, because he's a good choice on character study and acting study. Both. Some actors are that way. You can study an actor for a character study, or just study him as an actor. And listen, I'm not even going to talk about Dead Man Walking. I'm not going to talk about it. That thing's a masterpiece. It'll be on my list. I'm actually afraid to put anything like that movie. That's Tim Robbins' masterpiece, but that's Sean Penn's genius, which I think he was nominated. He won for Mystic River. So Sean Penn won Best Actor for Mystic River. That was a Clint Eastwood picture based on a book, kind of a neo-noir thriller. Well, I'd say crime drama is what I'd call it. I'd probably call it a crime drama. Not necessarily a thriller, but there are moments in it where it's kind of crazy. No, Mystic River is more of a crime drama, but it's Sean Penn's, that's what they gave it to him for. I thought they should have gave it to him for Dead Man Walking. But anyway, he should have got Best Picture for Into the Wild. I don't know if it was nominated. I'm sure it was. Whatever beat him that year, that was 2007, I'm going to definitely find out. And I kind of put a little swat on the butt for the Academy, going, come on, guys. But it broke Penn, like I said. He cried, and in the documentary about it, about what happened with Christopher McCandless, because it was a tragic loss of an educated person making some poor choices in nature. Go with a friend, go with a Garmin. If you go to bus 142, wear yourself a Garmin. You can get a Garmin. They're expensive, but it's worth your life. I think you can get them as cheap as $70. It can track your exact location or very close to it. Watch vlogs like Foresty Forest, and especially watch Chrome Valdez. He's got Van City Van Life. He'll teach you some survival techniques about Garmins and stuff if you watch some of his vlogs. He mostly is building a warehouse and selling stickers right now, but he goes out in nature all the time. You could even email him, or you could just make a comment on his YouTube page. Same thing with Foresty Forest. He's a genius. He'll teach you also how to survive in nature. Now, I would probably highly recommend Foresty Forest because he's climbed many mountains. I don't know if he carries a Garmin, but I know that he carries a dog, and a dog's a big deal too. Read Jack London's To Build a Fire. It's about a man and a dog in a very cold situation. I had some close calls in Maine, guys. Maine is very, very dangerous. Get a Garmin, and one more time, get a Garmin if you can. The Garmin will contact you with people that can come to save you very quickly, especially in Maine. We had some accidents when I was there. There was one lady that fell from a precipice. I don't know if she made it. That's like a cliff. And then there was 2 guys that were out in kayaks. They immediately died in the freezing ice water. Somewhere probably not too far from the Moosehead Trail. They got into the water, the ice cracked. It might have been by where the precipice was. It's not too far from Bar Harbor. It might be in Bar Harbor. It starts with an A. Arcadia, I think is what they call it. Anyway, they were in the river somewhere, and it was freezing cold. I guess like -20. And the kayaks tipped, and when you hit that water, you go into shock, and they never found them. So what I'm saying about nature and Into the Wild, and if you go to that bus 142, have a Garmin, tell someone that you're going, tell them when you're going, and have a friend with you. If you go by yourself, at least have a Garmin. If Christopher McCandless had a Garmin, they're like a small device that's connected to a satellite for your GPS location. So the satellite tracks you as opposed to cell towers. And they can track your exact location. You can even text with it. The device about that big. Wear it around your neck. And there's an emergency button that you can hit on it. So if you go to bus 142 out in Alaska and you're by yourself, don't be a fool. That river can still get you. I'm gonna actually nickname that river the River of Death on the behalf of John Bunyan. All right, guys? All right. 5512.6. But I'll tell you why I'm proud of Sean Penn on Into the Wild. Now, Indian Runner, that's a masterpiece. The Pledge, all those are masterpieces. Crossing Guard, masterpiece. Into the Wild is a good film. It's a good film. It's about good, right? It's fighting the good fight, my brother, right? That's what you say to Sean Penn. Thank you for Into the Wild, my brother, right? Brother Penn. Penn plays some main characters, but there's a guess there could be a Christian there, right? There could be a Pure Flix film there. That's fighting the good fight. There he is. Right. So you got the fountain drink, which is the toughest part. The fountain drink is the nightmare. You can rig a case. I use a DoorDash bag that sponges out. There's sponge stuff that can keep it kind of stable in a case. Or you can buy the carrying cases that are like I don't know, they're like $100. They'll carry fountain drinks professionally. 606 12 4.9.